Hello, welcome to our second International Student Orientation session. My name is Katie Russo and I am the Assistant Director for Intercultural Programs at UTD. So today we have a wonderful presentation with the Bursar office, Lisa Davis, and she will introduce herself in a moment and talk to you all about how to pay your tuition and fees. Few logistics before we go through. You can see and hear us, but we cannot see or hear you. You can ask questions, so there is a comment box on the right side of your screen. We actually have the Q&A closed at this time so that you can watch Lisa's presentation. She might answer some questions you have during the presentation, and then we'll open the chat box later and you'll see a message in there pop up that says that you can ask your questions. There's also closed captioning available. You should see a CC button on the bottom right of your screen. If you need some extra language support, having the words printed across the screen, it also translates to several different languages. So please make use of that if you need to. And I will introduce Lisa Davis. She is from the Bursar office. So Lisa, you are all ready to go. Oh, I think you're muted, Lisa.
Hello. I hope everyone is safe and healthy during this unusual time. Again, my name is Lisa Davis. I'm the supervisor of student accounts in the Bursar office. And on behalf of the Bursar office, I'd like to welcome you to the UT Dallas community. If I'm not the first one in our office, you know, maybe you've talked to someone else already, but I have a lot of good information for you. I'm going to try to go through it fast. I know sometimes I kind of linger on some certain information just for the fact that I know that it's very important. Again, this isn't always the funnest part of college, but it is very important information to know because, you know, you do have to pay for college, unfortunately. And so, so again, I will be going through this pretty quickly. If you have questions, you can always email us. This is our information, Bursar at UT Dallas, or you can give us a call. Our phone number is on the slide here. Anytime that you need anything, just let us know. Right now, of course, we're not open to in-person, but you're not here anyway, so I guess that part doesn't really matter. But go ahead and go to the next slide. I'm going to go over a few functions that our office does. Sometimes people understand what Bursar office does, sometimes they don't. So some of the things that we do, we assess, bill, and collect on all tuition and fees. We collect on campus housing charges. So if you live on campus at some point in time, we would be the one that would collect on those. We can also collect on the meal plan charges. So if you end up having a meal plan at some point, we can answer questions about your billing statement. We also implement the payment and refund schedule. So the due dates, and if you're supposed to get money back for dropping classes, things like that, we do implement that. Some of this we're definitely gonna go over, but this is just kind of an overview. We maintain the online services through our Easy Pay system. So as a university student, Easy Pay will be something that you'll need to get familiar with, and I'll go over that later as well. And we also process refunds. So if we owe you money back, you can go on to the next slide. Again, that's just an overview of some of the functions that we do in our office. We do assess, bill, and collect tuition and fees. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. I'm going to talk a little bit about our tuition rates. All new incoming students will have the opportunity to choose between 2 tuition plans. So that means that you will have a choice of the rate that you're going to be charged. Those are available online. So we do have 2 different ones. We have the variable tuition. That one is basically a rate for 1 year after that academic year, so a full academic year. So it would include a fall, spring, summer. So if you're coming in the spring, it would include the spring and the summer. And then again, for summer students, it would just be summer. So every fall, this rate would change. So again, that's subject to 1 year changes. Then we have the guaranteed tuition, which is a 4-year locked-in rate. So that would help prevent you from any rate increases over the next 4 years. So it's kind of designed for people who are on a budget. They want to know exactly how much they're going to pay over the next 4 years of college. Sometimes people ask, how do I know which one's best for me? Well, think about long term. How long do you plan to attend UT Dallas? Because the variable tuition plan, when you compare the rates, you will find out that those are a little bit cheaper starting out. And that's because we guarantee our guaranteed plan for 4 years. So so that one is not going to change, but the variable will. So the variable will start out just a tad bit lower. So think about how long you plan to attend the university. You do have to make that choice. There is a deadline to make that choice. It is a one-time choice. For the spring session, if you're coming in for the spring 2021 session, December 31st would be the deadline to select that plan. If no plan is selected by December 31st, we're automatically going to default you into the variable plan. So that would be a year-by-year rate that you would be defaulted in. So make sure that whenever you receive an email from us telling you that you need to select your tuition plan, make sure you go ahead and go out and do that before December 31st. You can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Again, all students will be eligible to make a selection once they receive that email. It's a really easy process once you get into to select the tuition. You will, when you are logged in, I'm sure in some of the other sessions you've already heard about your Orion student account, your student service center. Well, that would be where you would choose your plan. You would see a hold on your account. So if you've been in your account yet, you'll see, where your to-do list items are and the holds. That's where you're going to see a hold and a to-do list item that shows that you need to select your tuition plan. That will only stay on there until December 31st, and then once that deadline passes, that will go away. It will also go away once you select your plan. Again, it's very simple. It'll ask you, it'll say, I choose the variable plan, I choose the guaranteed plan, and once you click on that to-do list item, it will take you exactly where you need to go. If you ever have any questions about that, you can contact us. We can go ahead and move on to the next slide, please. This is just an example of our tuition rate plan. This happens to be the variable for the 2021 term. It is sometimes a little confusing when students actually go out and look at the plan. You're going to see the number of credit hours that you're enrolled in. You would go down the list and just look at the credit hours that you're enrolled in, and then you would find what status are you? Are you a resident student? Obviously, you're probably going to be a non-resident student. Are you a graduate student, or are you an undergraduate student? And then you would look on there and you would go over to the chart and you would find which rate would be charged. We don't have a set rate per credit hour. The more credit hours you take, the cheaper each credit hour becomes. So if you notice the very first credit hour, we'll just use the example for the fall, spring, 1 credit hour for resident, or we'll do non-resident graduate student. You're going to see 1 credit hour says $23.83, but if you go up to 2 hours, it's not double of $23.83. It goes up to $38.54. If you can see where I'm looking at, so you can see it's not a set credit hour rate. It's a certain amount depending on how many credit hours you actually take. So we can go ahead and go on to this one, go past this one. So if you do need an estimate, we do not, about a month before classes start, maybe a little over, we'll process bills for a student. If you need some kind of estimate before that, maybe you're going to take out a loan, or maybe you have a sponsor that's going to be paying and they need to know how much they need to pay for you, or you just need an estimate. We do have that available. Once you're an accepted student to the university, you could get an estimate on your Orion self-service portal. Also, once the billing is done, you can actually go print a statement out in your student service center. So depending on if the bills are out, if we've done the bills, or we haven't done the bills, depends on which one you're going to need to get. We say it's about 6 to 8 weeks prior to the beginning of each term. For the spring term, it's a little less than that, just for the fact that, it's there's a short time window between registration and then when the semester starts. So again, if you're going to need an estimate for something, you can definitely go out there. Once you're accepted, you can go and put in how many hours you're going to be enrolled in. and it should bring up a full estimate of how much it would cost. And then again, after the statements are out, you can print that, an actual statement with the amount. You can go ahead and move on, please. So if you are a scholarship recipient receiving $1,000 or more from the university, so it would be considered an academic scholarship, as long as it's $1,000 for that entire year, you will receive a credit for the university, the difference between the non-resident tuition and the resident tuition. So when you go on, I know students can be confused because they're going to see that full amount charged when they register for classes. So once you register, your charges are going to be, when we calculate the bill, your charges are going to show up as the non-resident rate. But if you receive that scholarship, you would see a waiver or a credit on your account for the difference between the resident and the non-resident rate. All scholarship recipients receive an extended deadline each semester. So you'll follow the academic calendar, the payment and refund calendar. You'll follow the financial aid deadline. So you'll see a regular deadline and then you'll see a financial aid deadline. The financial aid would be the one you would follow if you're receiving any type of financial aid. That would be even if you have gotten a loan from a private lender. There are some private lenders that loan money to non-resident students or international students. So you would also follow that same deadline if you qualify for one of those private loans that come through our financial aid office. I do not have any information about that on these slides because we do not do the private loans, but you would contact financial aid. I know I do get a lot of questions about that private loan for international students, so that would be the financial aid office. But again, if you were receiving any type of financial aid, you would receive that extended deadline. Payment is expected to be made after the scholarship and waiver. So we don't expect you to go on and make that full payment until after your scholarship for at least the $1,000 and the credit of the waiver has been applied to your account. You can go ahead and move on. So I did mention the payment and refund calendar. So the payment and refund calendar, there's several things that you can find on there. It's very important that you look at this every single semester. There's a new calendar every single semester. You're going to find the estimated dates for generating the billing statements. So as I mentioned before, those billing statements, you'll find that date. You'll find our payment deadlines. You'll also find out about our late fees. Our payment plan options and the due dates of the payment plan is also on there. And then also the refund for dropping or withdrawing from courses. I know there's times where people have to withdraw, and we put that information out there for you to see so that you can know exactly what dates that you need to withdraw or drop a class to not be charged for those classes. And I do believe I'm going to be going over that here in just a few minutes further about the dropping and the withdrawing. The payment deadline for the spring 2021 semester for people not receiving any type of financial aid. So if you're not receiving that scholarship or you're not receiving a private loan from the financial aid office, your deadline would be January the 9th. So that means you would either have to pay in full or set up one of our payment plans that I'll go over here in a few minutes. The financial aid recipient deadline is January the 23rd. So that is for students that are receiving the financial aid, as I mentioned before. That includes scholarships and waivers. So if you're receiving any type of waiver, again, or any type of private loan. And please verify that you've received that extension. There will be a hold on your account, or a service indicator is what we call them. Not all holds are bad. Sometimes you hear the word hold and people think that's a bad term. Not all holds are bad. We do put holds on the student accounts to let the student know that their deadline has been extended so that we don't drop them for non-payment on the regular payment deadline. So on the 9th, if you have that extension and we put that hold on your account, then you would not be dropped for non-payment on the 9th when you haven't paid, if that makes any sense. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide. Some of the services in Easy Pay, we do refer to this a lot in our office. So if you email us or you call us and we say, well, have you looked in Easy Pay? This is what we're talking about. Easy Pay is a place where you can make payments. It's separate from your Orion account. This is not the login. You're going to use the same login, but it's not, you don't log in the same place. It's a separate login. You can click on Easy Pay within your Orion Center. I believe they've updated that where you can do that now. Before you could not do that. But this is where you can make payments online. You can also view billing statements in the Easy Pay system as well as in Orion. You can set up direct deposit. So if for some reason we owed you money and you have a U.S. bank account that you wanted that money to be deposited into instead of us mailing a check, this would be where you could set up a direct deposit. You can also add an authorized user, and this can be very helpful if you have a family member, maybe a parent or someone, or even a sponsor that you wanted to be able to go in and see your financial information. They could go on and they could log in as an authorized user. So you would actually go in and set them up. All they need is an email account. You would go into your Easy Pay. There's a spot that says add authorized user. You would put their email in, and then they would get an email and they could set up their own authorized user access, which again can be really helpful. This doesn't give them access to any of your grades or any of your academic information. This is just for financial purposes so that they could go in and see your bill and make payments toward the account on your behalf. This is also where you will set up an installment plan, and that's one of the payment plans that I'm going to go over in just a second. So we can also go ahead and go to the next slide. So some of our payment methods, we do, again, take most of our payments right now online. None of us foresaw this happening, but as of right now, we're not going to be accepting in-person payments for the spring, but that may not matter in your situation anyway. But we may end up opening sometime within the spring, but as of right now, we're not going to be open. But again, we've made everything very convenient for you to make payment through Easy Pay. We do take credit cards through Easy Pay. There is a convenience fee if you want to do that. If you're going to use a travel card for whatever reason, it just has to have the MasterCard, Visa. I'm sorry, not Visa. We don't take Visa. MasterCard, American Express, and Discover Card. We do not accept a Visa for student payments. You can use an electronic check. If you have a U.S. bank account, you can use that on there for no charge. So credit cards, there is a charge. Checks, there is no charge. If you're going to be mailing a check to us or some kind of a demand draft or something like that, you definitely want to give it about 3 weeks to get to us, and maybe even a little bit longer if it's coming internationally. You can mail payments to us. Please do not mail cash to our office. You can mail some kind of a demand draft to our office or a check payment to the address that's listed here. And if you have any questions, if you're going to be mailing anything, I suggest you go ahead and call us and let us know that you're mailing something, or email us and just let us know I've sent a payment. Can you please, verify that you've received it when you get it? Because we want to know, since we're not there all the time and our offices aren't open, we want to be watching for that payment, and we want to be able to let you know, yes, we did receive your payment. So we do suggest that right now. You can go ahead and move to the next slide. We have a lot of students who prefer to do international wire. So maybe they are receiving a loan where they live in their country. And so we make that fairly easy for a student to fund us through an international wire. We don't give out our banking information. I know we've had students who will call, and even banks, international banks that will call and say, I'm sending money for a student, what is your information? We require that the students go through what's called Flywire. There is no fee associated with going through Flywire. That's just kind of like our third party in-between person between the international bank and the university. So you would log into your Galaxy account, you put in your net ID, your password, and the steps are on here. You can see those on the slides. There's steps to follow to take you directly to the Flywire. A new window will open once you go into Flywire, and you'll enter your payment information, and there's instructions on how to do that. Again, if you have questions about how to do this, we are definitely willing to answer any questions you have. But again, we've made it fairly easy for you to get into Flywire. Sometimes when students actually get into Flywire, they have a question about maybe some information that they need to put in, and we're more than willing to help you with that. And also Flywire is available. There's an 800 number that you can call to speak to someone at Flywire. If for some reason you're not able to secure your funding for the university by January the 9th. So let's say you have no financial aid, you haven't gotten that extension. By January 9th, if you have not been able to do that, you may want to take out one of our payment plans. And we do have a payment plan that does not require you to pay any money down as a down payment. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide and I'll talk about that. So I did mention in Easy Pay, there's the installment plan. That one does require a 25% down payment when you set that up. So if you have the funding to pay the 25%, let's say you haven't been able to secure all of your funding, but you do have some of it, this one may be an option for you because it does include everything that's on your tuition. It'll include your tuition and fees, any kind of student insurance. If you're on campus or you're getting a meal plan, you could include that. And there's only a $25 setup fee to enroll in that. Again, 25% would be due at the time you set it up. So if you have that 25%, this would be a great payment plan. If you're trying to secure funding through a lender or something like that and you don't have the 25%, we do offer what's called the short-term loan. And the short-term loan will extend your payment deadline out about 60 days past the census date. So it would extend the payment deadline all the way to March the 18th, and there would be no down payment required. So if you didn't have that 25% to put down, maybe you're just, maybe it's going to take an extra month for your lender to process your loan. This would definitely be something that you may want to consider. There is a little bit of a higher fee on this one. It's a 1.25% origination fee. This one is enrolled through Galaxy. So in your student center, you can find the short-term loan, whereas the installment is through the Easy Pay system. It only includes the tuition and fees. So all other fees like student insurance, any kind of housing or meal plan, if you were on campus, that would be posted by the regular payment deadline. Usually we go ahead and push that one out to the financial aid deadline. So let's say you take out the short-term loan and it's only covering your tuition and fees and mandatory fees. Well, then we would go ahead and give you till the financial aid deadline to pay any other fees like the student insurance or the housing or the meal plan. And there would be late fees if you didn't pay that other portion. You can go ahead on to the next slide. So I know we hate talking about dropping or withdrawing from courses, but we do know that there are things that happen and a student may be enrolled in classes and may have started those classes, and then something comes up and they just cannot attend those classes. Well, the state of Texas does have a policy within their code, because we are a state of Texas institution. They have a policy within their code for dropping and withdrawing from courses. It's very important that if you do not want to be charged anything for the classes and you have to withdraw from the classes, that you do that before the beginning of class. So before the first day of class. So if you're in that full-term session, you need to drop before the first day of class. And that's if you're completely withdrawing from the university. So that would be for the spring semester, that would be January the 12th. So that's if you're completely withdrawing, you're not able to attend the classes at all, something came up and you just have to withdraw from the university. You're definitely going to want to try to do that before the first day of class so that you can be credited back 100%. I know that sometimes people read 100% refund. If you haven't paid anything, you're not really going to get any kind of a refund, but we will give you credit back 100% for those classes. if you do it before the first day of class. Now, if you're just dropping a class, so I'm going to go back up to the first part here where it says if you drop a course but remain in at least one other session course. So that means, let's say you're taking 2 classes and you drop one of them and you go ahead and remain in the other class, you would actually get 100% credit back for that one class all the way through January the 29th. Same as if you're in full-time enrollment and if you're in 15 credit hours and let's say you end up dropping 6 credit hours of the 15. Well, you would get 100% of those 6 credit hours that you drop all the way through what's called our census day. And you probably have heard about what census day is. It's the day we report our enrollment for the state. So it's very important that, you know, if you're going to drop a class, I know sometimes people say it's kind of like a trial, you know, you have through census day to kind of try out the class and decide if you want to be in it. Well, I mean, I guess that could be a good way to explain it. As long as you remain enrolled in at least one other session class, yes, that is true. You can get 100% back by the census day of each term. And if you're in a first 8-week or a second 8-week session, those dates do vary. So again, it's very important that you look at these dates if you plan on dropping or withdrawing. And again, if you're ever wondering what's going to happen and you look at this and it just looks very overwhelming, email us, give us a call. There's someone there to explain to you exactly what would happen on your specific account if you drop or withdraw a class. You can go ahead and move on. So sometimes you're going to see what's called a credit balance on your account. Again, our bill sometimes can be confusing if you're brand new to the university. But what would happen if you have a credit balance? It would show a negative amount due. So it would be like example here, negative $550. That means you don't owe us any money. That means we owe you money. So there's several reasons why this can happen. A negative balance could show on your account maybe because you ended up dropping that class and you paid in full and you dropped a class before census day and now we owe you money back. Credit balances will begin being processed because what we want to do is we don't want to leave those credit balances on the account. We want to zero the account, make the account go back to zero, showing that we don't owe you anything, you don't owe us anything. Usually about 2 to 4 days after that. If you have a U.S. bank account, as I mentioned before, you can set up a direct deposit. And we will refund those directly to the bank account that's set up on the account 1 to 3 business days. If we have to mail a check, that's going to take a lot longer. And we're only going to mail that to a U.S. address. So if we owe you money back and you don't have a U.S. address, we're not going to be able to process a refund until we have that information on our system. And then students that make a payment through Flywire, so if you do your Flywire payment through your international wire, we can refund you back through Flywire. So that is a good reason to make your payment through Flywire because we can refund you back. Because if you don't think you're going to have a U.S. bank account and you think that, or you we owe you money back, it's going to be good to go ahead and have it sent back through Flywire. But you would need to contact us and let us know, I see that I have a refund coming, I don't have a U.S. bank account, I do not have a U.S. address, can you please send it back through Flywire? So we would go ahead and do that, but we're not going to automatically do that. So you would have to contact. So if you're waiting and you see that you have a credit balance and you're waiting and you're thinking, why haven't I got my money back? And you don't have either of the first 2 that I mentioned, you definitely want to call us because, again, we're not going to automatically refund you through Flywire. You can go ahead and move on. So we do have some frequently asked questions that students ask us all the time. Again, we're going to take your questions in just a second. I believe they're going to be opening up the question and answer session chat. But some of the things that people ask us, again, is how do I know which tuition plan to use? I know it's been a few minutes since I went over that. So I will tell you again, think about how long you plan to be here. Because, again, the 2 plans, the variable starts out a little bit cheaper than the one that's the guaranteed for 4 years. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you think you're going to be here for 2 years, maybe the variable plan is better for you. If you think you're going to be here for taking classes for 4 years, maybe you're taking a little bit at a time and you're a graduate student and you're just taking maybe 6 hours a semester, then maybe you wanted to think about taking the guaranteed, because that would prevent you from rate increases for 4 years. And then what happens after that, which is really good, is we don't put you on, so 4 years from now, we don't put you on the brand new plan. Like we go 4 years out and put you on a brand new plan. We'll just move you up to the next year plan. So for this year, if you're on the 2021 guaranteed plan, and let's say 4 years down the line, that one expires, then we would put you on the 21-22 plan. So we're not going to move you all the way up to the 24-25 plan, if that makes sense. Can you tell me how much I owe before I'm registered? We cannot tell you specifically how much you will owe before you're registered. You would have to go on and do an estimate. There's also a way to do an estimate online. That's not through your Orion portal, but actually on our Bursar website. It can give you estimates on there as well. So if you're an accepted student, you want to do it in your Orion account. If you're not an accepted student, of course, you could do it online. Can you provide me with a fee statement? Again, those are things that we allow you to do yourself through your Orion portal. Can I pay my tuition in cash? Obviously, we're not taking cash right now, and you're not probably going to be here to pay in cash. But again, don't mail cash to the university. When our offices do open back up, and if you come to campus, then there will be a potential for you to pay cash for some things. We don't suggest that you bring, all of your tuition money in a big, large sum of cash. But we do take cash for some things. Demand drafts or wires. My demand draft or wire is more than my tuition charges. So you had something where you got a loan and it was more than what you owed us. Will I be refunded? Yes, you can be refunded. Again, you would have to have some kind of a U.S. bank account, or you would have to have a U.S. address for us to mail you those funds. But yes, we can refund you, because if we send it back through Flywire, then they're just probably going to credit it back to where it came from. So do I pay for classes before my scholarship is posted? That's a yes and no, because if your scholarship for some reason does not post by the financial aid payment deadline, you would want to find out what you need to do. That's why we suggest that you go ahead and verify that everything is done for your scholarship before the deadline. So you don't want to wait until the financial aid deadline of the 23rd of January to contact us and say, wait a minute, my scholarship is not posted, because we want to be able to help you before that. So, give it at least 5 business days. So maybe a week before, contact us or contact financial aid. Why is my scholarship, why isn't it not posted to my account? Because you may end up having to pay if for some reason you didn't keep up with it, or maybe there was something on your side you needed to do and that didn't get done. So it's very important that you keep up with that. When is my tuition deadline? Again, I mentioned those deadlines. You can find them on the payment and refund calendar. Very important every semester to look at that. Again, regular payment deadline, January 9th. Financial aid payment deadline is the 23rd of January. Why do I have a hold on my account? There could be many reasons why you have a hold on your account. There are departmental holds for registration. Maybe you have to meet with your department. Maybe you have something you need to do in financial aid because you're getting a scholarship or a private loan and they need you to do something. There's many reasons you could have a hold on your account. It could be because you have a balance. If you have a balance and it's time to register, you would have a hold on your account because you wouldn't be able to register for the next term. How do I get my student insurance waived? We don't do the waive. We have the charges on our bill. So not every charge on our bill we actually put on our bill. So you would need to contact the health services and prove that you have other insurance. And they could provide you more information about that. And can I drop a class after classes have started? Yes, I went over that. You can drop a class. You can drop a class through Census Day. After Census Day, there's no refund back. So it's either, for dropping, it's either 100% back through Census or nothing back after Census. Whereas there is a percentage if you withdraw from the university, if you withdraw before the first day of class, 100% back. And then as time goes on, the percentage goes down. It goes to 80%, 70%, 50, 25. So just depending on what day you withdraw from the university. And when I say withdraw, I mean completely no classes for that semester. I don't mean you're going to never come back to the university when I say withdraw. What I mean is that you're not going to be enrolled in that semester any longer. And then we'll go over just a few things that we consider action items. If you want to go ahead and go to the next slide. Choose your tuition plan, very important, number one action item. Whenever we open the enrollment for that, you will get an email. That's very important. If you don't choose by December 31st, we're going to choose for you and you're going to be put on the variable plan. Update your address if for some reason you move or you end up coming to campus and living on campus or something like that, or living near campus. Update your address as soon as possible. I know we're going over this while the campus really isn't open and we don't have a whole lot of new people coming to the campus, but there will be a time when we are back on campus. So it is very important to know some of the stuff for when you do come back or when you come over to campus. Become familiar with the academic and payment refund calendar, which I had mentioned. If you can establish a U.S. bank account, again, that may be a difficult thing if you're not here living. And then also set up that refund profile if you're able to get some kind of a U.S. bank account. Check your Easy Pay account to ensure scholarships are posted. Make sure you go on there, look at your bill, see if anything's changed. Sometimes you may make an adjustment to your account or to your registration, and it may do something weird to your account. It's always okay to question your charges. There's nothing wrong with questioning your charges. Do not assume that everything that always goes on your account is right, because there could be an error. So always question. If you don't think something looks right, please question us, because we have had students contact us after they've dropped a class. It's changed their charges and it's increased their charges, and it shouldn't have done that. So we need to go in and catch that and fix that. And it's helpful if the student contacts us to let us know they see something strange on their account. Check your UT Dallas email often, because we're going to send you everything through your UT Dallas email. And then again, allow 7 days for Flywire payments to be received by the university. So don't wait till that day of to go and initiate your payment through Flywire, because we may not get it, and then you may end up getting late fees and things like that. And always, 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 always reach out to us for any question you have regarding Bursar related issues. And if you reach out to us and it's not Bursar related, we'll direct you to where you need to go. We're not going to say, oh my goodness, why did you contact us? That's not our job. We don't do that. If you contact us and it doesn't have to do with our office, we'll guide you and direct you and try to help send you to where you need to be.
Thank you, Lisa.
You are very welcome.
So I know that we have the question box open. Flower, do we have any questions already for Lisa? You might still be muted, Flower, just in case, if you want to read those questions aloud.
Okay, so our first question, does graduate resident fee include the on-campus housing fees along with the credit fee?
So I'm assuming they're asking if the tuition chart that we showed, was that including everything, including the housing? Is that the way you're understanding the question as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so the tuition plan that I showed on the system, or on the slide presentation, and that you can find on our website, that is only the registered. So that is your enrollment. So if you, it's only for the base tuition and mandatory fees that we charge. So housing is going to be a different charge. Meal plan is going to be a different charge. Again, hopefully that answered the question if I understood it correctly.
Just I'll clarify a little piece.
Okay.
So like Lisa said, the tuition is, you pay by the amount of credit hours, and then whether you're an undergraduate, graduate student, or a resident or non-resident. Resident means a resident of the state of Texas. Okay. So I know that can be confusing for some students. Yes. Maybe they were thinking that means living on campus. Okay, but yes. Students who are residents of the state of Texas pay a slightly lower tuition rate than students who are non-residents. Usually international students are considered non-residents, unless maybe you've been living in Texas for a few years. You can actually look at the registrar's office website to see how can you qualify for Texas resident, to be a Texas resident in order to get your tuition lower. Or like Lisa said, if you have that scholarship of more than $1,000, you qualify for the resident tuition rate.
Correct.
Yes, so.
Okay, yes.
A little extra.
I guess I did misunderstand that question. Yes, so resident is resident of Texas, non-resident is non-resident of Texas. So that doesn't mean non-US resident, it just means non-resident of Texas. So someone in California would pay the same rate as someone that lives in another country because they're considered a non-resident of Texas.
Yeah, and those housing fees, if you choose to live on campus, those are on top of the tuition fees that are the tuition payments that you would be paying.
Right.
So your bill will all be itemized so you can see exactly what you're being charged for, right, Lisa?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome, thank you. The next question is, can we register for classes if seats open up after start of class or just before the first day of classes? And in that case, how and when do we make the payment?
Okay. I'm sorry. So to answer that question, you can register if you look at the registration calendar, the academic calendar, it has a last day to register for classes. So you can register after the first day of class. It's just considered late registration. And late registration runs through a certain date. And I believe if Katie can look, do you have that pulled up? That I don't have the academic calendar pulled up.
I just had it, and then I was actually going to post your website. So let me see. I posted the link for the academic calendar for spring 2021. So the last day for late registration, let's see, for the full term session is last day to add or drop. I think it looks like it's Tuesday, January 26th, if I'm reading this right. Yes.
So you can register, I believe that's up through the census day, pretty much. You can register for classes. It's just there's usually a late fee associated with late registration. Regular registration usually runs up until that Thursday before classes start, or maybe that Friday, and then the late registration starts right around the time for the first day of class. And most credit hours, going back to that first question, most classes are about 3 credit hours. So when you're looking at, how many hours you plan to take, most classes are about 3 credit hours.
Yeah, I would say so. It depends. So just double check it on your schedule and with your academic advisor. Most graduate students take about 9 credit hours. That's the minimum course requirement to be a full-time student. And as an international student, you are required to be a full-time student. For undergraduates, the minimum course load is 12 credit hours. So that's a good way for you to kind of start understanding how much your tuition will cost by looking at those.
Yes, and so when you're looking at that tuition chart, I do know it can be confusing, and so you see 1, and sometimes people think that means 1 class, and that just means 1 credit hour. So if a class is 3 credit hours, you would have to go down to the 3 hours and look at the hours there for 3 credit hours. Most of the time classes are not going to be 1 credit hour. Those are going to be maybe internships and things like that. Very seldom are they just 1 credit hour, but I mean, there are some, but we do have to list it by credit hour. So 1 class is usually most of the time going to be 3 credit hours.
Awesome. So back to the other question, if they register for classes after the class already started, is the payment deadline the same, or do they have a different payment deadline?
So the payment deadline, if you register after the regular payment deadline, so the regular payment deadline is January the 9th. If you register after that, we usually will go ahead and give you till the 23rd, which is the census day payment deadline. You're going to read on everything you see, it's going to say payments due when you register from that point on. But I can tell you that we're not going to drop you from those classes until after the financial aid deadline. So if you register from, let's say, January the 10th, so regular payment deadline is January 9th, you register on January the 10th. We're going to leave you enrolled in those classes up until the 23rd, and then we're going to see, okay, has that person made any payment? And then we're going to start doing the processes of doing late fees and sending you emails about dropping for non-payment and things like that. So technically you're going to read that it's going to say after the January 9th deadline, payment is due immediately. But if you don't have the funding, we're not going to drop you out of those classes until after the next deadline.
So thank you. So the next question.
Information there for you.
Right. So as an international graduate student, how can I pay the tuition in installments? Like how many installments do we have a semester?
Okay, so all students are eligible for the installment plan that we offer through Easy Pay. That one is going to be 4 installments, usually 1 per month. The first 25%, as I mentioned, is due at the time of setup. So when you go set that up, it's going to require that you pay a $25 setup fee plus 25% of the total tuition and fees. That would be due at the time of setup. And then for the spring semester, we're looking at a payment in February, March, and April, and they each have their own deadlines. And I do believe it's on one of the slides. I didn't know if you wanted to pull that one back up again. But yes, all students who are registered students are eligible for that installment plan. It's the same one for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're an international student, a U.S. non-resident of Texas, or a resident of Texas. Everyone's eligible for the same installment. Again, the other option would be the short-term loan that does not require the 25% down. It just has a little bit of higher of a fee. And that one has one payment due date, March the 18th.
Awesome, thank you. If we're using Flywire for payments, do we need to use Easy Pay for anything?
I guess you don't have to. We prefer that you go in and you can view your information in Easy Pay. You can also view it through your Orion portal, but you don't have to do anything. If you don't want to set up the installment plan, if you don't want to go look at your bill through Easy Pay, you don't have to go into there. But if you're going to do Flywire, because you go into Orion, as long as you use one of the systems to kind of review your bill and make sure everything looks correct to you, then it doesn't matter which one you use, because you are going to use Flywire Orion to do your Flywire payment.
So, all payments such as housing, tuition fees, all payments such as housing and tuition fees that a student needs to pay can be viewed on the Easy Pay account?
Yes, so everything's going to show up on the bill. So if you have housing, if you have meal plan, if you have student insurance, if you have, if you have any kind of fees from any department within, most of the fees within the university are going to show up on our bill. So when you get a late fee, or you have some kind of a fee from let's say you're getting ready to graduate, you're going to have a graduation fee, something like that. All of that's going to show up on our bill. The only thing, even parking fines, for whatever reason, if you were on campus and you received a parking fine at some point, that's going to show up on our bill. Again, not all charges that are on the bill that you can see in our office are put on by us. So yes, you can see all of that once the housing office applies it to your bill. So they would have to apply it. There's a certain day, usually a couple of weeks before the payment deadline, maybe a little longer. They'll send a file that processes those payments onto your bill, or those charges onto your bill, not payments, but the charges onto your bill. So you will be able to see anything that you owe on the Easy Pay system. Yes, on our bill through the Bursar office.
Perfect. I am joining UTD as a PhD student with a scholarship that covers tuition. Do I need to choose a tuition payment plan and take care of the payments, or does my department do it for me? Okay, so in that situation, yes, you would still need to choose a plan. It used to be no. The answer used to be no. We would go ahead and put you on a plan, on the guaranteed plan. But we have went ahead and given the student that option, because if for some reason something happened and you didn't receive that scholarship anymore and you are still enrolled in classes, we want you to be the one that made the decision on what you're being charged. So yes, all students, and you will receive that email telling you that you need to go
to go choose your plan. So as of right now, yes, every student that's new incoming has to make that one-time choice to choose your plan. Even if you're on a scholarship or the university's paying for everything for you.
All right. And for our final question, do I have the option to substitute one course or class for another?
That is a very good question. I know it sounds like that doesn't fit with our department, but it really does, because what happens if you drop a class and you're going to, we don't have what's called swapping classes. So you're enrolled in a class and you want to enroll in a different class. You can't just swap that class for class, if that makes any sense. If you are enrolled in a class and you want to drop, you need to drop that course first and then enroll in the new course. If it's before Census Day, you will not be charged any additional funding for that class. So let's say you are in a history class and you are dropping that history class and you're going to go to a different history, even if it's just a different class time, the same exact class, but just a different class time. Maybe you want to take it in class where you were taking it online. Even if it's the same class, as long as it's before census day, you're not going to get charged. If you do that after census day, you will be charged for the new class and the old class. So you need to, any changes that you make to your schedule for dropping and adding courses, you need to do that before census day. Even if it's just, I didn't like that professor and I'm 6 weeks into my course and I really need to go over to this other professor's course because this professor is not any good and I'm not learning anything. If you go change that course, if they let you change that course, it's going to charge you for that second course.
All right. If I don't register with Easy Pay, is there still a way for me to see what payments are received and what is due?
So when you register for classes, a bill is, a tuition is calculated, a bill is generated for you. That bill, when we process bills, we'll upload into the Easy Pay system. So you don't have to go enroll in Easy Pay. Easy Pay is a system that you can access using your net ID and password, but you do not have to do anything to set it up. You can just like you go into Orion, your Orion Center, you can also go into your Easy Pay Center the same exact way. So you don't have to do anything to set it up, and there still will be an Easy Pay account for you to view whether you go set it up or not.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's it for questions, unless anyone else has a question.
And can I clarify on that too? Easy Pay is not a payment plan. It's not an installment plan. Easy Pay is just a system that you can access to view things. So again, when I say everybody's going to have it, I'm not saying everybody's going to have a payment plan or anything like that. Everybody's just going to have access to view information in Easy Pay. It's not setting you up on any kind of payment plan or anything like that. It's just a system of record for you to go view your information, and you can make payments and you can set up the installment plan in there. You don't have to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you to Flower for fielding all of our questions.
Thank you.
Also like to note that we also have our director on here, Leticia, who's managing the PowerPoint for us. So thank you, Leticia. I don't think she can unmute her mic at the moment. But if you do have any more questions, please reach out to the Bursar office. Lisa, do you want to put your Bursar office email address in the chat? Sure. I've also put the Bursar office website in the chat and the academic and payment calendar, and that's for the spring 2021. But in the future, you can always find that information on UTD's main page. You'll see a link at the bottom that just says academic calendar, that has your payment schedule, that has everything. So we try to be very, very transparent with all the information for our students. But thank you so much for attending. You can also send us an email if you have questions. I'll go ahead and put the IC Programs email address in here, so you have it just in case. And I hope that you are planning to attend our session next week, which is virtual learning at UTD. So we'll talk a little bit with professors from the business school, JSON Business School, and engineering and computer science about all the resources available to students who might be studying virtually. So please, we hope to see you there, and you can find all of that information on our International Student Orientation website. But anyways, I think that means we are finished for the day. So thank you again so much for attending. Goodbye.
Thank you.